Hi Year 9, welcome to this presentation all about the Religious Studies GCSE. So during this presentation I'll go through why you might want to study Religious Studies, what's actually on the course and where getting such a qualification can take you next. So what can you actually expect from the course itself in that? What sort of skills will you develop? Well, you'll improve your skills of critical thinking, as a lot of religious studies is about looking at different points of view to your own. You'll develop written evaluative arguments, so you'll have evaluation questions which look at you creating a debate. Now, this is really good for things like English and history as well, and has great links to such subjects like that. You'll increase your knowledge on religion and learn more about different religions. And you'll be able to develop your ability to communicate and debate and put your side of arguments across. So in this part, I'm going to look at actually what's in the course itself. So when you go to study religious studies, you will have 2 exams at the end of year 11. Each exam has 4 sections. So on exam 1 is all about the study of religion, what they believe and how they live their life. So you'll learn all about Christianity and all about Islam as the 2 major world religions. You'll learn what they think, but actually what they also do. Things like festivals, worship, and other sort of things about their beliefs. Now, at the end of year 11, I said that there'd be 2 exams, but each exam is similar in that they're both an hour and 45 and split into 4 sections. When you break that down further, each section actually has 5 questions as part of it. And those questions look at different sort of skills. So the 1 and 2 mark questions are really quick and simple in that they're testing facts. So the 1 mark questions are actually multiple choice, and you'll be given a range of options and you just circle or tick the right thing. As you go through, each question starts to ask a little bit more from you until you get to 12 mark longer extended questions that are evaluation essays, which is looking at a question where you debate both sides of the argument. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later in this presentation. Now, exam 2 is the bit that loads of people who take the course find really interesting. And that's where you get to study ethical issues. And what I mean by that is that you get to study things out in the modern day world that affect people of different beliefs. So you'll study issues such as the death penalty and things like nuclear weapons. You'll also look at sort of issues of abortion and euthanasia. What do different people see as right and wrong when it comes to those issues? And why do different people hold different beliefs? Also, you get to think about what your own beliefs are when it comes to these issues as you go out into the wider world. Now, I said we'd look at the 12 mark essay questions because that's really where people find RE something quite unique and quite interesting, and that the idea is you get to have a bit of a debate on the page. So yes, you do have to have good levels of English because it is an essay question, but at the same time, it's something that a lot of our students find very interesting as you get sort of these statements that you have to try and evaluate. So some of those sort of statements that you get given on your 12 mark essay questions are up on the screen now. So you might get a question in your exam such as there is no good reason to go to war. And you've got to try and think of both sides of the argument. Why would some people agree that war is never ever right? But why do sometimes people think that war might be an absolute necessity? Can you think about both sides of the argument? If you can, it might be that religious studies is something for you. You also get to think about those big questions though. So things like it's not reasonable to believe in life after death. Loads of people have beliefs such as heaven and hell or reincarnation, or even things that are less religious like ghosts. Why do people have those beliefs? And do you think those sort of beliefs are reasonable to hold? They are sort of the big questions that we have to answer in life. And some people find those things really interesting. And if you find thinking about those things interesting, then religious studies might be something that's for you. Now, I also want to talk, like I said at the beginning, about where religious studies can actually take you after you finish at Wearne of School at the end of year 11. Well, people find that religious studies is really good for any job really that involves working with other people. As you know, the UK is actually a multi-faith society, and understanding our differences and similarities will help us live and work together peacefully. That being said, there are certain career paths where actually having a grounding in religious studies is actively encouraged and sought out. So careers in the NHS. Now that can be wide ranging. Obviously we think about sort of doctors and nurses first, but any sort of career in the NHS. There's what's called medical ethics, the rights and wrongs of when it comes to how we treat our patients. They'll have to encounter strong opinions on issues such as abortion, euthanasia, organ transplantation, even things such as blood transfusions and genetics, all play a role. And what do and how do they treat their patients fairly without prejudice, even if they have beliefs different to their own? Police officers as well will encounter people from very different communities sometimes to the community they grew up in. You've got to be able to show tolerance and understanding and stand up against prejudice and discrimination. If you're considering a career maybe within the law, they must actually, lawyers and judges, before they go on to their career, actually have to study religion and the law itself. Also, if you're thinking about working in nurseries or schools, in teaching and childcare, teachers and childminders and nursery workers will encounter parents and children from all different walks of life, different races and different religions. As a teacher, you should be free from prejudice, but you should also have a good understanding of different people's beliefs and show empathy towards people and the way that they live their lives. Final one I want you to think about as well is social work. Social workers work with people sometimes when they're at their most vulnerable, and they need to be able to empathise with the people that they are entrusted to help. The armed forces as well, you might not have thought about. Now, in the armed forces, part of that might be travelling the world, encountering different cultures. Now, whilst these are some of the careers, there are loads of careers that RE can come and play a part in. Anything that involves, like I said earlier, working with people and being out there in the wider world.